Hey, what is up YouTube? Kolst here. We have some exciting news to share because there are some really big arena changes coming. This has been revealed, not where we are looking right now. This is the patch notes that just came out, and if you did look at the patch notes, you might notice there's absolutely no mention of arena. They had the Battlegrounds updates, mercenary stuff. The update we're talking about is actually going to be here, which is Matt London's Twitter. And so he told us in advance there would be no changes with the patch, but there are going to be some pretty significant changes. Some of the biggest changes we've seen in Arena, frankly, in a very long time, coming very soon, and we're going to talk about that right here. Before we get too far, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and comment if you like this kind of content. But with that, let's get right into this. So he says here that essentially the changes have been implemented internally and they're coming soon, but they just, he goes into a lot of talking about basically how to make the change for the patch they needed to do it like a week ago, and they just basically missed the deadline. You know, they made the Miracle Growth and Pufferfish change, and they wanted to see essentially how that would impact Arena, so they missed the deadline. You know, I've seen some people get really upset about this, but I mean, you know, it's fine, and I appreciate the transparency, frankly. So the other thing related to when this change is actually going to happen, before we talk about the change itself, he said it's going to be a hotfix shortly after the release of 23.2. And he said someone asked exactly, you know, when is that going to be? He basically says, you know, if you look at the previous hotfixes, the schedule is pretty consistent. And he said specifically compared to 23.0, well, if you look at 23.0.1, that was the Friday after the patch. So he's basically, you know, he's not promising it's Friday. He doesn't want to be a liar if it ends up, it could always get delayed Saturday, Monday, but like he's basically saying it's Friday. So I appreciate this transparency as well. So with that, let's talk about what these changes actually are going to entail. And that's what he talks about this was the middle tweet on this thread here, which is about the arena changes. It includes micro adjustments to boost several low win rate classes, a reduction in appearance rate of overperforming cards, and the removal of several build around cards that lack support in the format. So these are three very different and very significant changes. The last few months, frankly, we've been lucky to get, you know, just micro adjustments, and these are multiple different things. A lot of things they've kind of done before, but just haven't been doing recently. So very excited for these changes. You know, and as we pull up HS Replay here, obviously, I think the micro adjustments are probably the most significant change, just because, you know, if you look at this is the HS Replay front page win rates right in here for Arena. Demon Hunter's actually pulled ahead of Druid right now, which is interesting, but you have these like three essentially completely unplayable classes. Even Warlock doesn't feel very good right now either. Pulling these things into potentially playability is probably going to be the biggest impact to Arena. The last time we had a micro adjustment, I think, was December 2021. We haven't had one this year, so it's really exciting to, you know, finally have these coming back. If you're not aware of that, what that is, basically they tweak the appearance rates of cards, how often strong and weak cards appear in the draft, just to, you know, artificially make classes better or worse, to try to, you know, make the game more balanced. That's what a micro adjust is. But otherwise, I think that's pretty straightforward. So I want to spend some time talking about the other two changes here. Let's first talk about the reduction appearance rate of overperforming cards. This is probably the most interesting thing here, which is also the one he was kind of the most vague about, because he doesn't specify here, right? Like, is this neutral cards, or does this include class cards? Is this like, are they going to be hitting like super powerful legendaries or what? Because like, you know, you can look at I have, you know, this is like Druid. I took out legendaries for this, but you know, you can look at like certain overperforming cards, like, you know, Raid Negotiator, School Teacher, and Mothership are the neutrals here, which are, you know, potentially cards they might be reducing. They said reduce, not remove entirely. And other things, you know, like Scale of Onyxia, and you can look at Demon Hunter, you know, you have other things like Inquisitor, Flanking Maneuver, Flame Reaper. So it'd be interesting to see exactly which cards they're really choosing to remove here. Of course, you can also look at like legendaries, and it'd be very significant if they're also removing legendaries or reducing legendaries, because, you know, basically so many of the colossal minions, right, are all on the top, but also, you know, Goliath, Raid Boss, Ibis, Ysera, all these cards. He hasn't specified, again, like, you know, exactly what's going to be impacted here. So I mean, I'd be interested to see in the comment section what you guys think. What do you think they should remove, and what do you think they will remove? Because he hasn't revealed yet. He said, as I said, I think the hotfix will be coming on Friday, and at that point we will know. But until then, you know, I'll keep you guys updated. I'll release another video once this Hotfix comes out for sure and talk about exactly what they did after they did that. And with that, let's talk about the second one here, which is the removal of several build-around cards that lack support in the format. This is a very interesting thing, because this is something that they've actually done before as well. So build-around cards, this implies like, synergy-based cards that don't actually, that are going to be really bad. What's interesting to me is, there are people that really like to try to make bad cards work, so some people might actually be not super happy about that, but I have like Warrior pulled up, for example. You can see like certain types of cards that they're probably going to do, like in the neutral section, like something like Naval Mine, right? Like this is something that you don't want to draft. You have like, there's the 1-mana 4/3 that can't attack, I think, cards like that, those are going to be the types of things that they're definitely removing. But what's interesting here is specifically how far are they going to go with this? If you could look at something like, there's other cards that are, like Tentacles for Arms. This isn't a build around card. It's just really bad. The whole purpose of removing the build around cards is just because they're bad at the end of the day, right? So it's almost interesting to, actually single them out. But like, again, like how far are they going to go with this? Are they going to, Warlocks, for example, have that whole curse package where it's just, it's a bad card, which is you're supposed to build a whole constructed deck around it. But, there's not enough support to make it work in Arena. So are they going to go really deep? Are they going to remove things like this as well? That's what we haven't seen, So again, I'm curious to see what you guys think, because should they just be removing, the really bad cards? Are they, he didn't specify, but maybe they are also just going to be removing some of the really bad cards as well. Maybe they're still going to do that later. We'll get to see. What I was going to say is what's interesting is that they have done this before. This is a blog post by Ixar back in 2016. It's not the first time they've done something very similar to this, because this was before they ever had done micro adjustments for balance, and they were doing essentially, instead of micro adjusting, they were just straight up removing cards from the top classes. They were taking away a couple of mage and rogue cards, a couple of the good cards from those classes, and then taking away a bunch of the bad cards from the bad classes. So you see like Vitality Totem, that was a 0/3 that healed your hero, didn't do anything, Warlock, just like really bad cards, Sacrificial Pact, Anima Golem, Druid losing like Tree of Life, Astral Communion, just like really terrible cards, right? Probably to a large extent, Matt London just took over the modes Arena through the modes team, and this is probably the change that inspired him to do this change right now. I do really appreciate, that they're not just going for micro adjusts and really trying to explore other ideas of how they can, make these changes to make Arena feel better. Because I think the problem that he probably encountered is, again, if you look at like the win rates here, like he realized that this is catastrophically bad, right? Balance-wise, particularly classes at the bottom, and I think he kind of realized that it wouldn't be possible to adjust these classes just through micro adjusts. And what can happen if you adjust them too much is then you end up giving them just too many of their class cards, and then every game against them feels the same. And if you want to drag everyone down to their level, then you take away all their class cards, and they end up just feeling really bad to play because they just have a whole bunch of like mediocre neutral minions, right? So this will be, again, like very, very interesting to see what exactly they're going to do with this. And this is potentially, it looks like step one of these changes, right? There may be more to come. In any case, I think it's really exciting to, have any of this kind of stuff happening for Arena, because we're just used to, not a whole lot changing, and really exciting time to be playing Arena right now. Definitely gonna be looking forward to playing the game after all of these changes come out. But yeah, I guess that's all I want to talk about for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys are enjoying Arena in the last week of Druid and Demon Hunter Stone, I guess. There is a possibility, since this is the team's first attempt at doing micro adjusts, I think they'll do a pretty good job, but there is a chance that, the balance gets thrown off more. I'll probably have to redo my video on a tier list of all the classes, but, it'll be good to, potentially see new classes at the top, or at least have everything be potentially much closer together. But yeah. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe again, all that stuff. But yeah, thanks again. We'll see you guys in the next one.